Christina with Admincadabra, and today we're talking about Pillar 3, Research and Opportunities. What are your goals? Every artist is different, and what we're aiming for in our career is going to be as different from one person to the next. Maybe you want to be a museum collected artist. Maybe you want to make $150,000 a year. Maybe you want to have just enough to pay the bills so you can use the rest of your time to spend with your family. Everyone is different, but once you get clear on what your goals are, then you can point your research and the opportunities that you find right toward that goal. In the modern age, especially during a pandemic, it's possible to sell your work and never leave your studio. If you know what to look for and where to look for it, you can find all the opportunities you could ever want, but only if you find the opportunities that are right for you. Take a moment, maybe journal it, maybe sketch about it, but figure out what it is that you want in return for the time you spend making your art. The internet is a big place, and combing through it to try to find those opportunities that are just right for you can be a full-time job. Any of you who have tried to find grants or residencies or fellowships or awards of any kind, you know how time-consuming the process can be to find the places where those opportunities are listed, sift through each of those places to find the ones that fit your goals, and then spending the time to apply and submit to all of them. Let me show you what I mean.
I've started here with a Google search using the term calls for entry. This is what we call when an organization or an entity is looking for art. They want artists to submit their work. Sometimes it's juried by a panel, sometimes it's anybody who plays. There are different eligibility requirements, but calls for entry or calls for artists are the same thing, and that's a great search term to start with. You can see here that there's entry thingy. We've got SPE National, Lens Scratch, the Art Guide, Art Call. There are lots of pages for calls for entry. Some of them are location specific, some of them are subject specific, some of them, even this one, is medium specific. So don't be afraid to add a search term after here that indicates a little bit closer to the goal that you're looking for. So the first call for entry website that I want to show you that I use all the time is called Cafe. You may have heard of this before. This is a website for artists to find calls, but it's also a website for organizations and entities to put out calls. So it streamlines the whole process and makes things a lot easier on both parties. When you first sign up for a Cafe account, they're going to have you set up a profile. So you're going to upload work to your portfolio section of this website. You're going to apply to calls, and then you're going to check out. Some of the calls have an entry fee and some of them are free. However, both go through the checkout process. It's just the free calls will have a zero amount in the checkout. This right here is my dashboard. This is things I've submitted to in the past and their current status and how much I paid and when the deadline was and what pieces I sent in. I can archive things that I didn't end up getting invited to. I can review what I actually sent. So that's a good way to see where you've been and to know maybe if you applied for something last year and you use these, works X, Y, and Z, then maybe use works A, B, and C this year and apply for the same thing, and hopefully maybe that new work is more likely to have you win. So when you open up an account here, you'll upload your work to the My Portfolio section. It's just upload media. You would decide where it falls into. Most of these are going to be images. You'll choose a file, This will open it up from your device's hard drive. Then you would enter the information below. So most of it is required. This last bit is not. So one thing I want to bring your attention to is this is all the information that you are going to have already put in your master catalog. It's also going to be all the information that is in the file name of the works that you upload. Once you upload them, they'll list them, and you won't even have to look back at your catalog. Maybe you can just look at it to know the title and the height and the width and the depth. Sometimes if there's work on paper, it won't let you put a 0 in here. I end up putting inches like 0.1. Price, this is if there's any sort of percentage going to, say, a nonprofit that the gallery has chosen. Maybe there is a percentage that is being split in some other way. Make sure you account for that when you price it out. And the year completed, we already did that when we made our catalog, add to my portfolio, and then you will have a list. So, and it will end up looking like this once you've uploaded a few things. There is a cap of 100 pieces that you can upload at any time. Once you have this all set up, here we can see one of my pieces here. So I uploaded this one. So this is the piece. This is exactly how the reviewers are going to see it. So make sure you're using the best possible picture that is cropped as closely as possible to include nothing but your art. We've got the title, we've got the medium, dimensions, the price, the year. So just so you can see, and then if you ever decide you want to change anything, you can change it, you can remove it. But once you have all your portfolio populated, you want at least 10 pieces in here that kind of show the breadth of your work. You can always upload more if you run into a call that has something in it that is applicable but not uploaded yet. So once you've got your portfolio going, you can apply to calls. So the way this works is it's not the hugest database, but then again, no call for entry database is going to be huge. It would be a labor of love for someone to cull all of the opportunities across the nation and the world and put them in one location. So I found this to be best for consistency and standardization. As you can see right now, there's only 124 opportunities listed on here. That's still a lot, but not all of them are going to be right for you. And I've also, I know that this is a result of the pandemic. There's usually much more than this, in the hundreds and sometimes even thousands. So once you come to the apply to calls page, you can, if you know of a particular organization offering a call, you can type that in. If you know the name of the show that the call is for, you can type that in. You can type in your city. One thing I want to bring your attention to is these filters over here. I don't use these very much because it tends to filter out things that I'm still interested in looking at. So because there aren't that many here, what I'll do first typically is I'll go into call type and I will look at only grants. So this is money that doesn't have to be paid back. As you can see, there are a lot of call types. Maybe you're looking for a fellowship and maybe that's all you want to look at. But for now, grants is free money and we like free money. So looking at the results, there are only 2. It gives you some details right up front. It gives you the beginning of the description. It is the first thing that I look at from a list like this is what states they're in and how the eligibility is run. So this is in Texas and it's a local eligibility, which means me being in Colorado, I'm not eligible to apply for this. So the next one down is Missouri, also local eligibility. So therefore I'm not eligible for this one either. I do want to bring your attention to, and here's the other thing too, is new opportunities could be posted in an hour from now, or, there could be another one then 4 hours after that, and then another one posted, only 18 minutes after that. So as soon as the organization posts it on here, it becomes visible to us artists. So just because there's not something on here right now, it doesn't mean 2 hours from now there might not be another 3 or 4 added. So you just always kind of have to check it. I have this page bookmarked on my phone, so whenever I am stuck in a parking lot waiting for somebody to come out of a store, I can, look through it and find ones that look interesting that I can apply to later. So just to show you a couple more, here's the name of a show. It's juried, it's a competition, and it's group. It's open to anybody across the world. It's based out of California. It's going to cost you $25 to enter. They want art that is inspired by the theme of 2021, question mark. What does it mean to you? That's pretty wide open. So you can see what the winnings can be. You can see what you get out of it, where it will be featured. This part is written by the organization. So if there are not great details, definitely contact them. Regional, so that's in Virginia, so that might not be the whole state. It could just be around, oh, yep, here it is, statewide call. Yep, so Virginia Beach. So here's national, based out of Idaho, international, based out of Oregon, photography only. Public art, this is going to be a mural or a large installation, probably outdoors, maybe not. You'll have to read more to find out. The next one I want to show you is one that I use all the time. It's my number 2. It's on the artworkarchive.com website, which is a great resource for all things art. This is a section of their page where they can post calls for entry that have been found around. So very similar to the filters. You can see it highlights the things that are ending really soon. It organizes it for you with what's ending soonest. It's got a lot of filters. Like I said, I don't want to filter away something that I might be interested in just because it was maybe mistyped or something like that. So I really like this one because there tends to be a lot more opportunities from smaller organizations. So both of these are easy enough for me to check on a weekly basis. The next one I want to show you is your county or your neighborhood or your city or town may have an arts group, usually a nonprofit run by private citizens, not necessarily connected to a business or a municipality, but simply maybe a guild or a club or something around that wants to advocate for local artists. In my case, I live in Boulder County. Boulder County has a group called the Boulder County Arts Alliance, and they run this calendar for which I subscribe to get regular emails from them, and it is chock full. Now, I'm not going to go into all this because your regional arts group is going to have a different setup. I just want to show you that the way that I found this is I typed in the name of my county, Boulder County, and I put arts calendar. Almost anybody who's anybody as a local arts group will have a calendar or events, some listing online, and those two words, calendar or events, for your county as search terms should bring you to whatever local arts pages you're going to have in your area. So I would very much suggest you seeking out these groups and maybe even joining them, being a part of things. I find it very enriching. It's a great networking opportunity, even in these online times. It's definitely worth giving it a year of your time and seeing what it turns out for you. May just be a great friend, but it may be that career breaking moment that you're looking for. The next website I want to show you is this is my city's government website. On here are the city of Longmont has Art in Public Places, which is their engagement with the community and the arts. So with this, I can see that there is a community project. They're going to post their calls for entry on here. Artists who wish to be notified of upcoming projects should send their information here. It's always a good idea to cultivate a relationship with your local municipality, unless you're punk rock, which is totally fine. But if you're not completely against partnering with those who govern us, that can be a really great resource for finding things that maybe other people have passed by or haven't even noticed because, it's just the city trying to make things better. Well, of course it is. You should be a part of that. Your city's website may have an arts section, and if not, you should email them and ask them why not. I think every city should have an arts section on their website and in real life because the arts make everything better. Okay, enough of my soapbox. The last place I want to show you is my local museum. Again, this is run through the city, so it's on the city's website, but your local museum may not. This is a community museum. There's some historical stuff, there's some art stuff, there's some environmental researchy type stuff. It generally works as like an educational and resource hub for our city. Obviously, this is not a major metropolitan art museum. I would have to go down to Denver for that, which would be my next suggestion, is if you don't have, start small potatoes with the museum in your town, but then have your other eye set on the goal of developing a relationship with the large art museum in your area. Even if it's in a city an hour or two away, it's still worth it because having a museum exhibition on your CV can only do good things for you. So there you have it, a couple of search terms to try. My top two favorite calls for entry websites are going to be Cafe and on artworkarchive.com. You're going to want to check out your county's arts calendar or arts events as search terms. See if there's something local run by advocates. You want to check with your city's website to see if they have an arts section, and if not, then you should start one yourself. And you should also look into your local museum or maybe a bigger museum that's just a little bit farther away.
What I want you to pay attention to is how these types of portals would translate to your neighborhood. There are a number of places that you can look pretty much no matter where you live to find opportunities around you to show and sell your work. If you know where these portals are, then keeping up with them shouldn't be that difficult or time consuming. You can do your opportunities research once a week, less than 30 minutes. Especially with this very basic setup. I live in a small town of 80,000 people. I'm about 45 minutes away from Denver, Colorado in the US. My small town is quiet. There is lovely support of the artists here, but again, it's a small town. The opportunities are going to only get so big or so lucrative. So I have to look in other places surrounding towns of a similar size. I could go down to the urban core in Denver. I could go on to the western slope. The point is, wherever you are, that's where the opportunities are. And you're first starting out, it can feel overwhelming, especially with all the noise on the internet. I want to solidify down to just the basic necessities to start with, which are these 5 or 6 websites I just showed you. The routine task of keeping your pipeline full of opportunities can be done with these 5 or 6 pages in 30 minutes a week. It's a great place to start. It's not the place you should end. If you hear of an awesome calendar or a particular group doing something wonderful, definitely get on that newsletter. Definitely include checking their site or checking their newsletter in your weekly routine. Make sure that you're adding important dates and deadlines to your calendar. Anything that'll help you stay organized on top of that. And really, for the first several weeks, it might just be lurking. You might just be in practicing building the habit of setting aside that time each week and seeing what consistencies show up for you in the places that you're checking. Maybe it's the same group keeps posting different shows and you're like, who is this group? And it leads you to a super great opportunity you might have missed. The point is, make time to keep the pipeline full. Start with the pages I've shown you. Build and grow from there. And as always, if you have any questions, please email me or you can leave a comment below. Either way, I appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time.